Hi guys, so this is where it all starts, the renovation of the hardtop of my Jeep Wrangler YJ. And as you can see, I have actually ripped out all the fabric that was on the inside, and the yellow color that you see there, that's the remains of the old glue. The reason why I decided to do this was actually a very frustrating broken sidewall over here, where you have the cushioning support for your back door hanging. So that one had fallen off, and that meant that the rear window never opened fully, so I always hit my head in it. But apart from that, it's pretty much okay structurally wise. It's just that it has to be finished up, made a little bit nicer inside. And what you need to know about this is that the support on the back side here is a little plate about this big. So if you remove these bolts, you're going to drop the plate on the inside, in between, inside the entire shell, and you won't get it out. So here you see a magnet. Well, this one don't do it anymore, because now it's lying on the bottom inside here. But I'm going to get the stronger magnet so I can get it out somehow. And here you see the driver's side, and looking closer at this, we can actually see that we have the same problem here. It's delaminated right by this window support. So I'm going to fix this one as well and make a really solid construction around here, so this will never happen again. And as you can see here, since this hardtop is actually supposed to be ventilated inside, it also has openings for a lot of condensed form inside the hardtop. And this is the result. So you can see one of the bolts that was sitting here on the locking mechanism back plate. It wasn't actually possible to remove it, it broke immediately. And in essence, what you need to do now to get inside and fix all these things is that you need to make what I'm going to make. I'm going to make an access hole somewhere here, so I can reach both upways to fix these constructions as well as downwards down here. I will show you a little bit more exactly what's happened here, since the this cushioning system or suspension system for the back door, the rear door, is hanging on these three bolts. You get a very local force spreading over this surface here, and that has resulted in that first it's cracked over here. Well, first it's cracked over here, and then it's moving the crack sideways over here, and that's why I didn't want to do anything easy or fast solution to this, because I really want to eliminate that it continues to crack further on. But it's impossible to access inside here, and even though the laminate is quite thick, I can't push it back again. So I need to get this back, and then once I have the access hole here, I would put a plate in behind to expand this zone here from being only local for all the force from the back door to spread a little bit wider. And then I'm going to laminate on the front and on the back as well from this access hole. So I will show you how I make the access hole. I'm using just a hand drill machine to drill out this little box or squared surface, and there's probably a lot easier ways to do this. Maybe you could just do 2 holes and then do use one of these electrical saws, but I'm going to take it down here. It's about 4 millimeters thick, what you're going through, and it's quite sturdy, the whole construction. So I'm going to finish up this and then cut out the piece, and then I'll show you what it looks like. So this is how bad it looks when you get it done, but now we have the hole. So here you see the access hole that I've made, and it's about well, I don't know, it's about blade wide and long, and this way I can access in under here, so I can put some glass fiber laminate on the inside for where it's broken, and I will also put one on the outside wrapping around the corner here. It was a bit tricky to actually be able to get this one to fit back in its original place, because there were fibers from the fracture that was lying on in the space in between. So I took one of these blades and I just went in under, back and forth. Here you can see what I'm using to mend my hardtop, and I'm using it's called steel plastics. It's glass fiber reinforced polyester, and this one is kind of more like a paste, but when you mix it with a curing agent, then it becomes a little bit more liquid, and then I'm gonna stick that into the crack, and I'm gonna put pressure on everything. And this one is mixed in 2 to 3% to the weight of this one. And once you mix them, you have about 5 minutes before they actually start curing, hardening, reacting together. So I'm gonna mix them evenly now until I have a homogeneous color. And here you see the mending that I made on this side as well. And this is what goes in on the rear side, on the other side. So what you can see here is a layer of carbon fiber fabric, and then underneath you see here the bolts. That's the old support. Zoom in on that. That's the old support that I've now rust proofed. So, but I've glued it to a bigger piece, so it's going to support better on the rear side or on the inside of the hardtop. So I'm just putting this one in through the hole, and I put the screws through so that I fasten it against the back of this side, over here. And this is what it looks like when I've fastened the plate in behind and underneath. And I used the rivet holes with the original rear plate, and that way I could hold it up against the inside of the hardtop. So now I'm letting this cure for until tomorrow. What you see here is the new locking mechanism that I've put inside. It's a bit tricky to actually get it inside, so because getting it in through this hole and down to this position down here requires you to use a magnet to actually push it down all the way in. And you can see here's the one for the other side that I'm going to install, and it doesn't look so pretty, but this is the only thing that will look, well, the only thing that you will see from the outside. The old ones, this was the one that was in the best condition, the other one was completely rusted away, the one that was sitting down here. So both bolts broke while I took it out in the nuts. And but now I made a couple of new ones, and this one is going to go back in on this side here. So when you're refurbishing your hardtop, you might want to remove these panels before you do the painting on the inside, and they're actually quite tricky to get off. And the best way is to stick a knife in between here and then twist it out like this, and it will release. The reason is that you see the top moves freely on the screw, so you have to twist it in and bend a little bit and then release, and the threads that you destroy, then you have to put some epoxy in and then make new threads when you reinstall them later on. So this one is left to do, while on the other side you can see I've already removed it. And these are the holes where it's sitting. So with a knife from the side coming in this way, you can bend and then it releases. So this far I can tell you that I have tried to remove this old glue with different kinds of solvents, but it's very stuck. So I've come to the conclusion that the best way to get rid of this before you actually paint it is to sand it down, and that takes a bit of an effort. You can see over here. Here I'm down to the glass fiber composite, and here you see the mending that I made on this side. But before I'm going to paint it, I'm going to get rid of all this glue first. I'm now halfway through the job, and as you can see, this becomes like a snow white on the inside. It's a kind of special paint, this polyurethane ones. I'll show you which one I use. This is some kind of Cora, but it's like a rubbery paint. And this section over here, it actually sucks up much more than you would expect. Whereas these sections here, where you have the glass fiber laminate directly, they take very little paint to be painted. And there is actually, I don't know if you see that, but there's some kind of structure fabric on these sections, which makes it, well, take about 8 of these spray paints to finish the job. And but so far it comes out pretty good. And this word of advice when it comes to these ones is that this is actually some kind of rubbery particles that are coming out. So what you want to do is that you want to move it, you know, in a certain pace so that you get a uniform coverage. You stop, then you will get something that looks like this. You get too much paint on one place. But if you move too fast, you will only spray out the particles, and the particles dry in the air, so you don't get uniform coverage. So it's worth trying a couple of times so that you move it from about 20 centimeters away in a good pace, so that you get a uniform thin film that then the particles can adhere together and create this rubbery coating on side of your hardtop. Now I have removed the masking tape on the first window, and you want to do this within an hour after your last spray coating, because if you wait for 24 hours, this rubberized coating will become kind of tough, and you might rip up the coating that covers over on your edges. So take off the masking before you let the entire final cure last overnight. So this is it. Now it's just the last little EPDM rubber that I'm putting on here to possibly take up some sound vibrations. This one you buy in a regular hardware store. You just want to make sure that you have the EPDM one that doesn't suck water with closed pores, and it just tapes on. Well, you have to make the holes obviously for your bolts then.